r/NoSleep. Posted by u/CrimsonBayonet. My parents had strange and strict rules. My name is Jack and I was a normal young adult living in a normal world. As a child I went to school every day, I did my homework, and on the weekends I played with my friends and often spent the night at their homes. Now, my parents were always strict, so to speak. They had a few rules that would be considered mean or rude by most children my age, but my parents told me at a young age it was to protect us and others. Let me go over them so you know the context. 1. You are not allowed to have friends stay the night. 2. You cannot tell anyone of our practices. 3. Meals made in the home, stay in the home. 4. Homework is to be done every night. 5. No TV or lights past midnight. 6. Do not play with your food. 7. Never go in the basement. It's just 7 simple rules that I never really understood until today. Some may find them odd, but it's something I'm used to, so to me it was something I thought everyone was used to. Well, we moved to a new state and I had to make new friends at school. As I was getting ready for school and eating a simple PB&J sandwich, I was watching TV mindlessly. It was on the news explaining some strange disappearances in the area. Breaking news! We have a video of one of the missing children being abducted. Currently, we have no way of telling who did this, so we and the police are reaching out for any tips on this. I remember thinking this was interesting and kind of sad. Who would just abduct children? Must be monsters. As I was thinking to myself, my dad strolled in with a smile and asked if I would like to have burgers or steak tonight. Burgers have always been my favorite. So, you can imagine my face lighting up when he asked, but before I could speak I choked on my food a little and needed to drink some milk I had in a cup. So, burgers right, son? No problem, I'll head to the store after work and get some buns. I love you, son, have a great day at school. After I caught my breath I ran to him and hugged him. As he was leaving, Mom came downstairs and kissed him before he left. I never packed lunch and just ate the school lunch, but today was special, it was pizza. The pizza at my school was always served in little squares, but they were fire. Mom looked at me and asked if I was ready for school, so I grabbed my backpack and finished my milk and head out the door. We got to the school and sat in the parking lot before going in. Jackie, I know moving has been tough on you, but I appreciate you understanding it. Making new friends is never easy and I am glad you have a friend group so early. I'm proud of you, son. She cracked a soft, motherly smile at me. It was warm and loving, which is something my mom was always good at showing affection for. Thanks, Mom. I love you. I hugged Mom and promptly jumped out of the car and ran to school. That day my friend Derek and I met at lunch and talked about how weird and scary it was one of our classmates went missing. Jack, I know you watch the news every morning, but did you see Mary on the news today? There was a video of her just being snatched up and the guy just drove off. It was so fast. He looked very worried, but then again I feel that everyone in the school saw this because it was all we could hear at lunch. Yay, it's so surreal. I never thought something like this could happen to us, I said, clearly shaken up. I remember being on edge all day but felt lucky that my mother was always there to pick me up when I got out of school. After lunch, my school held a mandatory assembly. The principal was in the middle of the gym with a mic and a script he wrote. Hey, kids, with the news of what has been happening, we felt it was necessary to speak about this. As we all know, Mary was abducted shortly after leaving school, and I know you are all worried, so we will go over some very helpful tips and start enacting a buddy system with everyone who walks to and from school. They went over the obvious: never accept gifts from strangers and always be vigilant about what's going on around you. They were so worried that they even upped security around town. It was as if the whole city was on high alert, and they had every right to be. Everyone was silent and somber, letting the principal talk. Mary was a sweet girl who was nice to everyone. I couldn't imagine the kind of person who would exploit that. After the assembly, all the walkers were assigned a buddy and given emergency buttons, which was a small necklace that had a button that instantly alerted police if something bad was happening. I think everyone pushing this button as a prank would be in bad taste, as we never had a false alarm. I was in social studies class with my friend Derek, and we were doing a project together in which we had to do a presentation on someone important in the advancement of humanity in one way or another. Well, we chose to do a project on Marie Curie and her life. Without her, we wouldn't have X-rays or even be as advanced in radiology as we are today. I am getting off track, sorry. I'm just really passionate about this subject, but it has no real relevance other than it was the last class of the day. After that class, Derek got with his walking buddy and smiled at me. I saw the pain on his face, as if he was scared, so I gave him a quick hug and told him, "You will be in, okay, man? I trust the system. If you need anything, call me, okay, man?" He smiled and told me he fully charged his phone and will call me when he got home. Well, I got in the car with Mom and she asked how my day was. So I told her. Well, kind of scary and depressing. Mary was confirmed to be missing and we held an assembly to tell us the importance of staying together and reporting strange behavior. My mom sensed I was shaken up by all of this and instantly leaned in to hug me. I hugged her softly and cried in her arms. I never cried before, but something just hit me on how dangerous this world was. Hey, there son. It'll be okay. I will make sure nothing will ever happen to you. How about we go to McDonald's, buddy? I wiped the tears from my eyes and sniffled and shook my head. We got our food and ate in the parking lot. Mom was always a bit antisocial, but she was always smiling and joking around me. She had a really good way of hiding fear and pain from me. Looking back, she did that a lot. I got home and was working on my homework when Dad walked in and placed his hat and keys on the key holder next to the door. He came up to me and hugged me. Mom came downstairs and kissed him and they proceeded to go to their room. Later that night my dad went into the basement to grab the burger meat and came back up with a little bit of blood on him but a pound of ground beef. "Oh, honey, you got a little blood on your shirt. Go change and I will bleach it." My mother told my dad. He changed shirts into something more casual. It was a Hawaiian shirt, you know, the ones you see on Magnum PI? Anyways, he was grilling the burgers when I got a call from my friend's mom. "Have you seen Derek? He left to go to the gas station after school and I haven't seen or heard of him since." "No, I haven't, Mrs. Chil. I am sorry. This has me a bit worried too because he was supposed to call me when he got home. I will call around and see if anyone was hanging out with him." "Thanks, Jack, I appreciate it. Keep me updated." She hung up and I proceeded to try calling him, and after 3 rings he picks up. "Hey man. What's up?" "Hey Derek, your mother called asking if you're okay. Are you at the gas station? Also, why didn't you answer her calls?" "Well, man. I'm with Pamela and I didn't want her to know I have a relationship. You know how controlling she is. Let her know that I'm with Eric and my phone died." "Alright, man. Just call me later, right bro, so we can party up and play some COD." "Haha, will do, man." He hung up and I called his mom and explained he was with Eric and his phone died. She sounded much more relieved, but I can understand the stress. By the time I got off the phone, Dad walked in and handed me a plate with a smile. My dad was a part-time butcher and chef for a Michelin star food truck. His food was always amazing and I was grateful for what he made. This burger was very juicy and soft, but it was fully cooked. Me, wow, Dad, you outdid yourself here. Dad, thanks, champ. Pineapple works wonders on softening meat. Mom, yay, honey, it shows. Later that night I was playing Modern Warfare 2 with the boys and it hit me. Derek never called me. I got off the game to try calling him and it went straight to voicemail. I kept calling over and over, and about the 10th call I gave up. I left him a voicemail and gave up. That night it was hard to sleep since I kept thinking about if Derek was okay. The next morning I was watching the news as I usually do and I heard something that made my heart sink into my stomach. Last night another child went missing on his way back from his friend's house. We don't have any footage, but the police have found his phone and asking any potential witnesses about his disappearance. The mother and community are devastated. I saw the phone. It was Derek's. I know, since he had a personalized case with his favorite anime on it, which at the time was Naruto. I welled up and started to cry. I desperately tried calling his mom, but she didn't pick up. Moments later we get 3 loud banging on the door. Mom went downstairs to answer and it was the police. Mom called me over and asked me what happened last night to Derek and if I have heard anything. No, he was hanging out at Pamela's house and was supposed to call me when he got home so we can play COD together. But he never did. The police thanked me and walked away. My mother instantly hugged me and asked if I wanted to stay home today. I shook my head yes, as the stress of possibly losing a friend was too much for me. That day I was in my room worrying and crying. He meant so much to me since he and I were friends the day I moved to that city. We were inseparable. We did everything together and even got all the same classes. Minutes became hours and time flew by. Before I could realize it was already time for me to go to bed. As I lay in bed awake, still broken by this whole situation, I can hear sounds coming from beneath me. It was kinda like crying but softer. I'm just hearing things. Nothing can be in our basement. I tried to comfort myself by rubbing my arm. It kept going on and the curiosity came over me and I grabbed my phone to use as a flashlight. I got to the basement door, which had a deadbolt on the top of it. I unlocked it and slowly turned the doorknob and opened the door. The stairs leading to the basement were darker than anything I'd seen before. I slowly walked down the step and was careful not to make the stairs creak. The further and further I went, the louder the moaning sound got. When I got to the base of the stairs and touched the concrete floor, I noticed how cold it was down there. I understand my father's job is to make food, so he kept most of the ingredients here. I looked around for a switch and finally found it. I flicked on the light and was horrified. There was Derek, tied up and barely awake. He had a gag in his mouth and the beeper he had was on a table next to him. I instantly went to release him, but before I could even touch him I looked to my left and saw a body. Well, was left the body hanging from a hook. It was a small body and female. The head was missing and the rib cage was wide open. Parts of the body were missing, like the legs and arms. Looking at the table I noticed there's her hand, and the meat grinder still had bits of flesh still in it. I got queasy and my vision started to blur. I was a cannibal and I couldn't believe it. It was then I heard something that snapped me out of my daze. It was my father calling my name out. "Jack. You shouldn't be down here. We have rules for a reason, son." He was walking down the stairs with a butcher knife and bloodlust in his eyes. I slowly backed up to the table behind me and slowly grabbed the emergency button before he could see me grab it. He got to the base of the stairs and walked to my friend Derek and stood in front of him. "Son, in life there are rules set in place to keep bad things from happening, and if those rules are broken there are severe consequences." He played with his knife slowly and looked at it intently. I pressed the button quietly in my pocket. "You see, sometimes the best lessons are the hardest, boy. Friends are temporary but family." He swung the knife down onto Derek's head, splitting it with a sickening crack, and blood sprayed into the air in a fine mist. I collapsed to the ground and begged my father to stop. I was crying so much that I couldn't breathe. "Get up, son. You have to understand this is for your best. Mom and I wanted to break this to you soon anyway, so you have to get over it. This is how our family has eaten for centuries." I could hear my mother walk down the stairs. She just stood there with a blank expression with slight disappointment. As I was crying, my mother came by me to comfort me, but it felt fake for the first time. I pushed her off and tried running up the stairs, but my father threw the knife into my leg. "Son, if you cannot comply, we will simply have to do to you what we did to your friend. We can always just move and change our names. Make a new kid. We have done it before you were born many times." My father walked up the stairs to me and pulled the knife out of my leg. Something came over me and I kicked him as hard as I could, which sent him tumbling down to the ground and he let out a cry of pain. Mom rushed to him to check on him, but I didn't take any chances and crawled up the stairs as fast as possible. I got to the door and my mom yelled, "Get back here now, mister, or you will be in bigger trouble." I looked down the stairs sweating and breathing heavily. I said one thing, "Fuck you," as I slammed the door and deadbolted it. She rushed up the stairs and started banging on it, yelling at me to open the door. Moments later I could hear police sirens blaring in the background. They questioned me for hours and pulled my father out of the basement in handcuffs. Where was Mom? She's still down there. She has to be. "Son, your dad and Derek are all we found. We scoured the whole basement and didn't find her." I was put under witness protection and moved out of state into a loving family. I have been vegan ever since. I can't stand the sight of meat. I can't tell what was worse, that I was a cannibal or that I liked the taste of human flesh. Life has been smooth since then though. I got a job and a new girlfriend Jamie and a new boyfriend Thomas. They make me so happy. The reason why I wanted to tell the world this is because yesterday I got a letter in the mail. It says this. "Dear Jack, I missed you, son. I know we left off on bad terms. However, your father died in prison a week ago. I wanted to check in on you and make sure you are eating well and are happy. Love, Mom." The creepiest thing is I just moved again with my significant others across the country and the letter was hand-delivered. I don't want to be here anymore.